But the only reason I'm doing it here is because I have to live in it, and I would like
Right.
to create a nicer environment for my
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
And the area I'm working in is like about 9 by about 6 feet. So like, is it 6? I can't remember. Yeah, so like we're talking like 63 fucking square feet of floor space. So
Right.
it's a small
Yeah.
bathroom. I mean, it's a nice one bedroom New York apartment, but
Oh,
like
right. Well, yeah, that's true.
you know, and half of that is vanity, bathtub, and toilet, but the
Right.
walls are atrocious. And
Right.
it was even worse underneath the wallpaper that I discovered. I should have left that shit alone.
Oh, no.
Something told me don't be OCD, don't be OCD.
Oh,
And
we're
then it
gonna
was
be
like,
OCD. That's what we do.
as soon as I started peeling off the fucking wallpaper, I started finding the holes in the walls underneath it.
Right.
And I'm like, God damn it.
Right.
So I have
The
been
wallpaper
playing with,
was not for decoration.
no, it was not decor. It was hiding the fact that we fucked up the apartment, apparently. So
Right.
now I'm in there fixing it up and drywalling and all that other fun
Right.
shit.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. I mean, yeah. Look, look, it's just like home repair is just like comics. We're going to put more effort into our own thing
Right.
than
Absolutely.
whatever it is
Absolutely.
someone thinks they could pay us for.
And it's crazy because even though this is not we do not own our property, but we plan to stay here for a
Right.
while. I mean,
Yeah.
if these silly kids decide to get married and do their thing or whatever, or move out or whatever,
Right.
even then I might fucking rent a room because there's so much fucking space here for what we've got. I'm like,
Right.
I'm not interested. I'm like, we've got twice the space for half the rent of most people
Right.
around us,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, I'm kind of squatting,
Right. Oh, there you go.
and so
There
I
you
want it
go.
as nice as possible.
Huh.
Just
Right.
tell
So,
these folks good morning.
I guess, right? This is
Good morning, everyone. It is Friday the
the 13th.
13th. And it's the month of June. I guess I should put that part in there. Oh, okay.
What?
I guess we'll go live in a minute and I'll
Oh,
tell
all
you about
right.
that.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So good morning,
Okay.
Daphne.
Oh, good morning.
Are you ready?
Absolutely not, but hit it.
Here we go. The fucking outro. Jesus
What?
Christ.
Oh, it gave you the outro? Oh,
Yes,
that's
like,
right.
what
Yeah.
the fuck did that do? Okay, whatever. We're here, folks. We're like
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
skip it, I guess, because fuck that shit.
Right.
Where's the fucking
I
media
was
banner?
wondering. I
I
got a
am
little.
not
Yeah.
even gonna bother this
Just,
morning.
yeah. No. Just go ahead and take the
Fuck my
countdown.
life.
Oh
All
my
right.
God. Well, today is
Jesus.
Friday the
It
13th.
is
So.
Friday the 13th, and we're actually just now here. We're not leaving. Oh,
Right.
so the show cut off at the end Friday.
Oh, did it?
Streamyard just disconnected from everything. Facebook, YouTube, everything. Lou brought it to my attention, and I'm like, no, there's no fucking way because I saw the
I
count
thought that.
run.
Yeah, I thought that we went all the way to the end. At
We
what point
did.
did it
We
cut?
did, but everybody else was like, it was at the end, but before the outro, before we said our goodbyes and shit. I
Oh,
mean, it just like cold cut. So it was a StreamYard thing because it dropped everything.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, see, Rob said we cut out too. But Lou had told me on the channel, I was like, no, it looks good. The time ran through and
Right.
everything. For some reason, even shows on YouTube that it ran through, but it did not.
Right.
So it was a weird disconnect. I don't know.
Right. Well, it was an actual disconnect. That's what.
Yeah, but it was weird because we kept going in StreamYard with the count.
Right. We went. Yeah, I remember we went all the way to the end. And
Yeah,
we
even after it was counting for us, because like
yeah.
I pause and leave us out of the studio because I don't want to come in there and say nothing smart ass while we're
Right,
still
well,
live. So we wait
yeah.
until the countdown closes out before I
Right.
open my mouth again.
Right.
Just yeah. Okay, so like
Right.
here's the thing. I'm having a moral dilemma.
Oh, well, hold on. Let's just say good morning to
Okay,
everybody
good
first
morning,
before.
people.
So who's joining us in the chat
We have
today?
Melissa, Lou,
Hello,
Rob.
hello,
Good morning,
hello.
everyone.
Good morning, everybody. And yes, I see you, our beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. If you're joining us from Facebook, make sure you come over to YouTube. Although when StreamYard acts up, there's nothing we can do about it. Yes, but to come on over to YouTube, keep the sexy people company in the chat, and make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. Because Facebook, definitely, we've been having problems with Facebook for a little bit, and we can't see your comments if you are on Facebook when that happens. So the easiest way to keep to have a live conversation with us is to be here to join us on YouTube. So I guess we all have a lot to say today, so we might as well just get this started. So hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I've been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means?
Emotional damage.
Especially this week. And I am known for my furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales and my medieval fantasy drama Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which I am just finishing up fulfillment for issue 10 as we speak. Thank you so much, everybody who pledged to the campaign. You can read both my comics online at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, and Tall Tales, that's TAILS online.com. And you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lager, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. And to tell you more about it, here's Nita.
Hey, I'm Nita. I do comics sometimes. I'm an editor. Sometimes I'm a pre-presser. Sometimes I'm a promoter, whatever.
Right.
And I have a Google account that runs Indie Comics Network, and people I like and shit, and they stream on it and stuff.
Right, yeah. And sometimes we talk about comics, and sometimes we talk about
and sometimes
drywall.
we talk about drywall.
Right.
Because now I'm a home repair extraordinaire.
Oh, so okay. So you're about to say before we had to say hello to everybody.
Oh, my moral dilemma?
Oh, yes, your moral dilemma. Yes, that's related to drywall? Or
no, not at all. Not at all.
But
the drywall thing pisses me off because I go in and I've got this tiny ass bathroom and I'm like, okay, I'm going to knock this shit out in a weekend, right?
Yeah.
And so I get in there and I look and it's old, ugly matte paint, but I start noticing there's like this wave behind the door, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I kind of poked at it a little bit in the corner so it would be easy to patch or whatever. I get underneath there and I discover it's motherfucking wallpaper, like 1970s painted over for decades wallpaper. And it's like, fuck. So I'm like, I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. And I walked away.
And you can't.
And all I did was stew about it. And I'm like, God damn it. So I go in the bathroom and I start seeing, okay, how is this going to work? And I take a razor blade and I run it down the fucking corner of the wall as deep as I could push it in. And I peel back and it's coming up pretty fucking easy, leaving little chunks of glue or whatever. But I'm like, oh, okay. It's basically not dry rotted, but the glue's so fucking old it's powder. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be kind of an easy fix. So I'm like, getting into that shit, and then all of a sudden there's a hole, and then there's another hole, and another hole, and I'm like, these motherfuckers with some white trash throwdowns up
and these
here,
were like,
and they were covering it up in the 60s when you could earn 50s and 60s when you could still spank your wife. Dude was punching walls like every fucking day.
Oh my god.
And so it was underneath this like vinyl fabric / wallpaper with these really cool looking flowers. God, I wish I could preserve some of the wallpaper for another craft project because it was really fucking cool and really vintage. But yeah, so I've been doing drywall.
Oh wow.
And that has not been fun. And my hands are sore as fuck. And
is that
like
bandages or
I'm trying to keep the lidocaine patches on because I was working before I came in here and I just changed my shirt. I'm actually dirty as fuck right now.
Oh, you're all covered in drywall dust.
Yeah, I got drywall dust in between my boobs and my fucking ass. Yeah, probably so. God, I'm probably killing my whole family trying to make something look neat. Yeah, so it was
Lead
it
paint.
yeah, but because it's in an area that we frequently use that's heavy moisture,
Right.
I can't leave it long. So no matter how I feel, even though I feel like I want to fucking lay down and die, I
Right.
cannot stop now.
Right. Yeah. Because cleaning
I
up
have to
mold
get the
is
first.
worse.
I have to get all the way down to the fucking. I have to get at
Right.
least get a
Yeah.
primer before I can
Mhm.
crash out, which I will
Right.
probably end up doing. Once it's fucking primed, I'm probably going to take a week off from this
Right.
bullshit.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. You
but
know.
for now, I'm sanding down and layering and fucking putting new caulking up and all that fun
Right.
shit.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was. Yeah, you can't unsee it. Like it was
Right.
like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once you, yeah. We don't work. There is no forgetting it. Oh, thank you so much.
so
We
my moral dilemma.
we make coffee taste better.
I tried to anyway. Uh, okay, so like I like to be honest when it
Okay.
comes to money and shit, and I've
Oh,
even
okay.
refunded people who've overpaid me and whatnot.
All right.
Well, okay, so like now I'm trying to feel like how honest do I want to be with corporate America?
Oh, you don't.
Okay, all right. So I don't
You
feel
know,
bad
when
now.
it comes to our corporate overlords,
Okay, because see, here's my dilemma, right?
do what you do.
Today is the due date for one of the apps I fucking use, and it is the most expensive. I
Okay.
don't want to say the name of it because I don't want
Right.
to convince myself. But
Right.
anyway, yeah. So I was supposed to be billed today, and all of a sudden my account updated to 6/13/2026. And I went and I looked and I found no receipts. I checked my PayPal. I'm like, maybe it came out of auto pay. I checked every fucking account between
Right.
myself and C. No money is taken out, and I'm not. It says now I'm not due until next year. So I'm just gonna. Should I
Okay.
just let it ride, or should I fucking
Let it ride. Let it ride.
just
Let it
like?
ride. Let it ride.
So
Let it
okay,
ride. However, don't spend that money just yet.
I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah. But let it ride. If they gave you a year for free, that's on them, not you.
Right, right. That
You
was
know?
kind of where I was at,
Right.
especially because I think it's a fucking ridiculous amount for
Right.
what it is, because it's the most expensive of their
Right.
fucking kind.
Right.
But I keep it because I had already started using the free account way back when before I
Right.
paid for it.
Uh-huh.
And so it was like I didn't want to have to try to get the URL. Oh, there it is. That's what it is. I didn't want to have to try to reclaim the name of the URLs and all this other shit.
Right. Well,
And so
I still don't know what you don't have to mention
okay,
the
all
program. I
right.
still don't know what it is.
So anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like they're so fucking expensive. It's stupid.
Right.
Like it's stupid, but it's a fucking program I don't want to work without. So
Right.
I was like, do I fucking message them and be
No.
like, look, motherfucker, I owe you money. Will
No,
you
absolutely not.
bleed me dry, bitches?
No, absolutely not. It's like, you know what? These assholes, they're more than happy to tell you, to demand their pound of flesh. If you get lost in a paperwork shuffle, that's on them, not you.
Okay. So I don't feel so guilty
No,
anymore.
no, there's no reason to. They're the ones who should be keeping their shit straight, not you.
That was my take on it. Cause I'm like, what the fuck? I'm sitting here and I'm like, I owe you this, and I'm
No,
looking and
no, you don't.
I'm looking, and it's nothing anywhere. And I'm like, you know
Right.
what?
You know what? No.
Because I feel like this is just if I went with anyone else, I'm just paying for their fucking name.
Right. It's like, no, don't worry about it. Like I said, don't spend the money. Just
I'm not.
keep it there just in case.
It's in the Indie Comics Network account, not even in my personal.
But
so it's there.
But yeah, it's not your responsibility to tell them how to do their accounting.
Okay.
So
I'm going to give them a couple of months, and then I figure out what I do with the money is throw $10 on as many campaigns as I can with it.
Right.
Be like, here's $10.
Right.
I don't want your book because I don't have any more space, but here's $10.
Right. I don't know. I think that I would hold on to that money until it renews next year.
Oh, really?
I would not be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's like, look, these places suck. I wouldn't be surprised if they, yeah, exactly. If they try to, they might try to charge you going, oh, that we neglected to charge you. And Yeah, it's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm not gonna split it. But you're right. I should leave it until because if they do catch their mistake in an audit or some shit, yeah, okay.
Right. Then it's
All
like
right.
you're not out,
Right.
So it's
okay.
like you kind of like figured,
Well, next year some people's gonna get blessed just repeatedly. I'm just gonna be like, here, $10,
Right, but
all around.
Right, exactly. Oh my goodness. So yeah. So let's see. So we have the drywall, we have the banking situation,
and the kitten.
So how's the kitten doing? Yes,
kitten is great. He is a fucking terrorist,
menace.
dude.
He's an absolute menace, something. Right?
He does this like he's already doing the hide behind the corners and jump out and attack the thing.
Right.
Can't pounce to save his life. He just hops like a rabbit, all 4 legs every time. He's a mess. He's a mess, and he's very fucking vocal.
Well, look, I wouldn't. Well, it's like, one, he's a kitten, so I think they're supposed to be like that. But also, if Gremlin is really vocal, he's probably learning that from Gremlin.
Oh yeah, he's mocking him, like
right. He probably thinks that that's how he has to be.
This kitten has his soft kitten mew when he first wakes up and he's hungry or whatever, and we take him out and we let him run free or whatnot. Right. But he also has this where he's trying to mock Gremlin.
Right.
And he makes his little voice deep.
Right.
He's like, roar. It's awful. It's so awful. It's fun.
Right. Oh, there you go.
So what's up in your world?
Busy, I'm still trying to knock off these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I'm trying to finish before the end of the month. I was able to knock off 2 of them. So I have 3 things left. So today is going to be a lot of traditional art day. I have Bert is 7 and Ernie's 3.
And they're both mouthy shit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, mine is just mouthy and he runs on a Hobbit eating schedule. So it's a little annoying.
First breakfast, second breakfast.
Yes, exactly.
Noon teas, lunch.
Yes. Uh-huh. About supper, dinner, lunch. So there's like a couple of major things I'm trying to finish before the end of the month. So like I said, I got 2 things out of the way, and now today is going to be working on this commission that I had started already, that I had approved, and now I just have to I have to light box it onto paper. So I can ink it traditionally. And then I have to sketch out my sketch covers because I'm sending out the last of the Eagle Raven 10 rewards out today. So, so that's pretty much almost done. I just have to get those sketch covers done, and then that'll finish off everything. Nice. So, and then it's just kind of trucking through issue 11, as I fit it in between everything else. I have too many characters on every panel. I accidentally ended up pulling a Russ Leach on this issue, and it's this is too many people. That's kind of the downside of working digitally, is that it's way too easy to be able to think you have more room than you really should give yourself on a page. So you end up putting in way much more detail than you actually really needed. So it's now I'm at a point where I'm kind of adjusting panels where it's you know what, maybe I don't need to draw 13 people in this one panel. It's can I just focus on just a couple, and and,
oh my god, what a mix.
That's a mix. Yeah,
I know, right?
And I don't even want to know how that happened.
Really, because all I'm sitting here is trying to do the math in my head.
Right? Yeah, I know. Right? So yeah, really. So it's it's just me kind of adjusting all my panels now to get kind of okay, do I need all these extra characters here? Am I just being mad extra? Because the more characters are on a panel, of course, the longer it's going to take me to draw them out. And it's so I'm trying to save that type of elaborate panels for where it's actually needed. Not like when two characters are talking, they don't need the audience behind them. So that's kind of partly what's slowing me down. But I don't know. I'm a couple of pages short of being halfway, so I'm trying. I'm trying. I don't think I'm gonna. Yeah, I know. I don't. You know what? Let me not say
Progress
anything.
is progress.
Yes, exactly. As long as I'm moving forward, that's the important thing, right? So the last time,
Thank you, because my brain could not stop.
yeah, right, yeah.
I needed the explanation.
Um,
I really needed that.
Really?
'Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
was Dad
It's
Vlad
still,
the Impaler, or was
still a
Mom Hot
visual,
Dog in a hallway?
yeah, it's still a visual though. Oh my goodness. So yeah, and I still, and I still have to make time to do that Monsterotica recap. I mean, it's like it's been a month already since I've been at that convention, and I still haven't done the video for it. So that's kind of annoying me, but not really. But it's
We got priorities.
Right, exactly. In the end, I just have to prioritize. I'm prioritizing what I need to do. And honestly, that video is kind of like the least important thing out of my list of stuff. It's something that I'd like to do, but it really is the least important. Especially since the way like YouTube was like it really liked it when I was trying to do a video a week. I was uploading a video a week, but what? It's like, no, my cat starts begging at 4 a.m.
Yeah, he does.
for dinner. So, and it's like, so, but every time like I skipped a couple of weeks, then it's like, YouTube started punishing me for not putting up a video. And I'm like, going, okay, you know what? I don't work for you. I'm not an employee.
Right. Oh
So,
my
you
gosh.
know what? I have to this has to work according to my schedule, not according to YouTube's schedule. So, that's what I have to do. So, so on the last show, oh yeah, but yeah, it's true. I never have to draw it again. Unfortunately, I don't know. In this scene that I'm working on, it feels like I'm doing the same panel over and over again. So that's kind of the reason why I'm like, okay, do I really need everybody if I'm going to have a similar panel, similar panels coming up? So that's what I've been, it's always trying to strategize these things. So on the Monday show, in the middle of my rambling, there was a thought that I wanted to save for today's show. I told everybody to put a pin in it, right? And during I think it was Wednesday, it's kind of related. It's kind of related because in the end it's like it was all related to the same conversation that led up to that point. So on Wednesday morning, I had watched a video, and if you had missed my live stream, I talked about it more in detail on my Wednesday live stream, which is in the playlist. There was this guy who was interviewing another artist, Artist Alley artist, and this guy is a print guy who he's gotten who's able to in 10 years was able to build his print thing to the point where now it's like he has a staff and this, that, and the other thing.
Oh, he has a print fire.
Right. It's like, so, and also whenever I hear about an Artist Alley guy having a staff, what that usually means is that they sell so many prints, they can afford to hire people to go to other conventions to sell their prints for, right? And and then it's like, now the thing is though, this guy, he does fan art prints. So, your mileage may vary on this information, but he said a couple of things that I thought was pretty interesting to chew on, where he was saying that, the problem, the problem, yeah, really. The problem with, he said, the problem with a lot of artists is that they're too much. They think too much like artists when they're at conventions, or when they're thinking about strategy for a convention. because he's going like, oh, because it's like, when I'm at a convention, I'm not an artist, I'm a salesperson, so regardless of the fact as to whether the fact that he's selling fan art, and like fan art for the most part pretty much sells itself, there's a certain, like I said, there's a certain thing to think about there, that it's like, because he was especially talking about like the reason, like a lot of the times, like if we go to a convention and the convention is not good to us somehow, right? He says, as if you think of it like an artist, because all artists do this, is that if we don't do well at a convention, the first thing that pops into our heads is, oh, maybe it's me. It's like, maybe there's something about my work. Maybe I'm just not good enough, or, maybe that's why I'm not selling as well at a convention. And he goes, and he's like going, it's like, look, regardless of everything, right? He goes like, he says something to the equivalent of, your artwork doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Right? Because he goes, it's like, look, you should, as an artist, you should always be striving, to improve your artwork, right? But when you're talking about a convention scenario, right? He goes, he's like going, it's like, look, in the end, you still have to have something the audience wants to buy regardless, but your quality doesn't matter as much as how your audience is seeing you at the convention.
Right.
Because he says sometimes, because he goes, well, in his case, he was like, well, most of the time, if I do poorly at a convention, it's not because of my artwork. It's because there's something happening in the environment that I'm in that either I can control or I can't control. That's actually the culprit.
It's taking my vibe.
Right. Because he says that, look, you have to, he's like going, the whole thing is like, you have to look at your audience as people who really don't care about artwork the way you care about artwork. And that they see artwork a lot differently than you do.
Right.
And it's like, and he had brought up the thing about, sometimes what it is, it's not that they don't like your artwork, but that your artwork doesn't solve an issue that they have. And he brought up the case where it's like, you're selling 11 by 17 prints, but the problem the person that likes your artwork has is that they don't have room for an 11 by 17 print.
Right.
They might like it, but they're not going to buy it because they can't hang it up. So, sometimes the issue, the easy solve for your issue is that, well, do you have smaller prints? Do you have postcards? Do you have something a little bit more manageable, right? That has nothing to do with the artwork itself. If they, that has to do with, you have a formatting issue where it's like your artwork is not available in a format that person wants. It's kind of like how I was thinking about if I were to end up at Anime NYC, I wanted to have a digest size version of my book to see if that is what's stopping people from buying the book.
Right.
That it's like, maybe it's not the fact that they don't like my they like my comic. They just look at that trade paperback and go, oh, that won't fit on my shelves. So so there was like that kind of discussion with that it's like, like sometimes, like he was saying, it's like, look, like the average height of a person at a convention is maybe like 5'5", 5'6" or something. And they go, sometimes if a convention is crowded enough, like people may like your artwork, but they don't see them.
There's been so many bit larger conventions I've been to where I have not even seen a table unless I was working it with a friend.
Right.
Like, for real.
Yeah, I know. Right. Yeah. Because it's like, it's like, look, because we're 3 apples high and, and it's like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, I can't see your shit. So I don't even say, yeah. So I can walk through an artist alley. Well, aside from the fact that I walk through artist alley differently, but I walk through artist alley deliberately avoiding people, but but that's for a whole other reason. Um, but yeah, but it's like, yes, sometimes the height, how you hang your artwork can
That's
completely.
interesting.
Right. Yeah. Lou says, I realized the larger prints didn't sell well because people didn't want to carry it around. I only sold more when I provided a bag for it. You see, that had nothing to do with your artwork. It's like, well, do you have a bag? Do you have a bag? No, then I can't buy it. But it's not because I didn't like your artwork. It's because you didn't make it convenient enough. You didn't solve
Right.
the problem of, that's why, especially at the bigger conventions, they always give out, like, especially San Diego, they give you like the body sized bags. They're absolutely insane. I mean, it's like they're literally like, the bags are like, I don't know what is this?
They're all these bags.
They're like three. Yeah, really. They're like the IKEA bags or something, and that's so that nobody can complain they can't carry anything.
Right.
Right. And then it's like, but the funny thing is that, like, his advice went completely against the advice of this other guy that I was watching, who was a fine artist, not a fan art print seller, where he was saying that when shit comes to Shinola, yeah, it is your artwork. This other guy was saying that it's like, that whole thing where his, like, if you and 98 other people have pretty much the same thing, oh, your artwork is nice, people like your artwork, what's going to sell your piece, what's going to make the sale is whoever has the lowest price. But we don't want to be the person offering the lowest price. We want to be that one guy that's making 90% of the money at an event, as opposed to us splitting that last 10%, among 98 other people. Oh yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah. So, and he says that the only way to do that is to be a better artist than the 98 other people you're in, you're in the event with, so so I guess also, well, with Melissa though, I guess it also depends on, because there's this thing, I think even you met, I think it was Melissa that quoted this, you get the audience you deserve. And that's also kind of the reason why I wouldn't want to be the least expensive person at a convention, because it's like, because, it's like, there's a downside to attracting cheap people that, that maybe it's like, yeah, you'll make the sale, but is that really a person you want hanging around? You know what I mean? But that's something you have to reflect on yourself. That's something you have to, like, sit with and, like, okay, what kind of audience do I really want to build? If but then again, it all boils down to know your audience, right? It's like, so so it was just kind of funny seeing these two artists kind of have. Now, here's the thing, because, like, when I was telling Jose this story, right? Jose was like going, what does the guy's artwork look like? Not the fine artist, the guy at the convention selling fan art.
Right.
Because he goes, I think that really matters into what he's talking about, as to, like, whether his advice has any validity. Because the funny thing about it is that there are two types of people who say that the artwork doesn't matter. People who are really, really good, and people who are really, really bad. Yeah. And, they'll give that same advice. The artwork doesn't matter. It's how you sell it. But which one of these guys are you really going to pay attention to? You know? So I ended up looking up the guy's artwork, and it's like, yeah, the guy is in the really, really, really good part. Like, all he does is fan art, but the shit looks like it could be in a Mondo poster catalog.
Right.
You know, that's what it looks like. Like he could be selling at Wonderground Gallery. Like this guy could have, like, the shit looks licensed. That's how top tier it is in terms of fan art. Yeah. So in the end, it's like he can say the artwork doesn't matter because he knows already he's at that high enough level.
Right.
That he knows, look, if I don't do well at a show, it's because I didn't position the artwork properly. On a he knows it's not his artwork. He knows it's not his artwork.
Right.
Meanwhile, the person who's really crappy, they need to believe that it's because they didn't put their artwork high enough. They need to believe that. They just say, oh, it's just, I just got to mark it differently. Right. So like I said, who would you rather really take advice from?
Right.
So in the middle of this conversation, although I do have to admit, though, that there is a certain comfort in thinking that maybe it really isn't my artwork if I'm not doing well at a show. There's a certain comfort in that it's like, although at the same time, it's like, wouldn't it be a bitch to find out that the reason why I couldn't sell as much artwork as I could at a convention because the color of my tablecloth was too busy? Like, oh, it was the tablecloth all along. Like, there's something very simplistic with that idea. But, like I said, there's a certain comfort in the advice that the guy was giving. That's like, oh, maybe it's not because I suck, but also there's something also kind of dismissive in, oh, it was your tablecloth all along. I mean, it's kind of like, so in the middle of this conversation, right, Jose kind of posited this idea that was kind of related but not related, right? Because in the end, we're all talking about the amount of money that we're selling at shows. And it's like, and whether we're selling our artwork the way our audience is looking at our artwork. And, it's like the audience, it's like, oh, I like your artwork because it's blue, not because it's watercolor. I could give a rat's ass that it's watercolor. I could give a rat's ass that you don't make print, it's like, oh, like someone had said in my stream, it's like, oh, I don't like making print postcards because you lose all the detail. But the average customer doesn't care. We know that there's detail, that the details muddy up on a postcard.
Right.
The customer just likes the piece.
Right.
So it's like, so is that really a valid reason to not have a postcard of this artwork that you'd actually like to sell at 11 by 17 because you see all the detail, but the customer is like, they don't even know what they're looking at. But again, I think if you can take that idea too far, and it's like, well, your audience is stupid. And it's like, no, you don't want to think like that either. You don't want to think like that either. It's like, all I'm saying is that the part that kind of got me is realizing that, you as an artist, you're going to be looking at artwork differently than someone who is not an artist, and it's like, and we kind of have to, adjust how we market our stuff a little bit more in that direction. Like, if you want this audience to buy your work, what is it that your audience needs to know? What is it that your audience could be like? Yeah, it's like, do you need a bag? It's like, if you
that was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Right. Do you need to add top loaders to your inventory? Do you need to get shopping bags for your inventory? Like, how many times do you go to a convention and you buy something and it's like that they just give you the shit and that's it? And it's like, oh, do you have a bag? No, we don't have bags. And it's like, yeah, it makes it, oh, it's like living with anxiety. You overthink everything. Meanwhile, no one else even notices what you see. Right.
This right
Exactly.
here. Oh my God.
These days, most art is viewed at phone screens. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
exactly. So it's like, so a postcard is a much better alternative, you know? So, yeah, well, in the end, it was the OCD that made Nita pull that wallpaper. Right?
Dude,
It's like,
it
nobody
was.
else was noticing it except you.
Nobody. But the thing is I had a rational fear of, because I was sanding down some of the
Right.
paint,
Yeah.
that it would maybe bubble with the wetness of the paint. And
Oh,
then
well,
what?
right.
Then I'd have
Yeah.
to fucking paint
But,
everything
yeah,
again.
then, right.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm not like for double doing the fucking work.
right.
Fuck all that shit.
So Jose brought up this point. Like I said, it's related, not related, but if we're talking about, okay, what's our biggest complaint at conventions? We didn't make enough money, right? So he goes, if it's about the money, right? So he posits, are we being too precious about whether we sell our books or not? He's like going, like, and mind you, I think he was thinking more about Kickstarter, right? Where it's like, I've always said in the past that it's like, if you're running a Kickstarter and most of your money, is coming from tchotchkes, are you really running a Kickstarter for a comic book? And it's like, if most of your money is coming from variant covers, are you really running a Kickstarter for a comic book? Like, what's even the point of a comic book if all you're going to do is just sell, variant covers and tchotchkes on your campaign? I mean, in the end, it's like, don't you want people to actually enjoy your book? Like, if you had nothing else on your campaign, right?
Right.
Now, it's like, I could easily be accused of being very snobbish, with that attitude, because it's like, yeah, it's like, if you're going to go through the effort of making a comic book, right? Even if you're paying somebody else to make the comic book, why would you want, plush toys or keychains to be the thing that you sell the most on your Kickstarter? It's like when you're at a convention, if you're selling your comic, right? Or if the whole point of you being there is to sell your comic, it's like, and most of your money comes from selling prints. Are you really there to sell your comic? But Jose's positing, but it's like, you know what? But
does it matter?
If it's about the money, does it matter?
Right.
And it's like, I guess it depends on whether, it's like, well, to me, it's like, I don't know. You see, because that's what it is, right? We always joke about Khajiit has wares, right?
Right.
But it's like, you know what? Maybe there is something to that. Maybe it's like we're dealing with customers who maybe they conceptually like the idea of a comic, but they like stickers better.
Dude, even the mainstream people conceptually like a comic, because if you talk to half of them, they're going to talk shit about the fucking movies. They're not going to talk about issue 49 from this universe or whatever.
Right.
The majority don't. I'm not saying there aren't actual comic book lovers out there, or that's how they discovered. I mean, hell, even myself, I didn't discover comics because of comics. I discovered comics because of MTV Oddities.
Right.
Like, seriously, because I was like, wow, I fucking love the Max. And then it was like, I saw something at the end of one of the programs that was crediting Sam Keith. And I was like, who is this dude? And so it prompted me to look him up. And then I fell in love with his art. Then I fell in love with the whole fucking comic book series. Then it was other comics. What else do I like out here?
Right.
And so it's like, yes, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to get them in and attract them.
You know, and I kind of wonder if a lot of that though, right, but I kind of wonder if that goes back to the audience, that we're seeing our books differently than how the audience is seeing our books.
Well, you absolutely are. It's
That
your
it's
fucking
like,
baby.
you know, that it's like that, you know, I'm seeing comics as the end all,
Right.
while the audience is just seeing comics as just a part of your catalog.
Right.
Yeah, but what else do you have? Right?
Right.
And it's like I'm just like incredibly conflicted.
I used to not feel this way. I used to be an arrogant little fuck when it came to, oh, you want to even make a movie, or you all you want is the Netflix deal? Fuck you. I don't give a shit about your stuff. You don't care. And it's like, but now it's like, wow, that was just.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's like maybe, you know, that's maturity, right? I guess that's
Maybe
maturity, you know, or, you know, it's like
live and let live. Like,
well, yeah,
if that's what's making them happy, if that's what's making them money, good for them.
You know, that it's like, you know what? Yeah, it's like, you know, except if you're using AI, I cannot. No, fuck you.
Yeah, except for that, fuck you, because yeah.
Hey,
dude, what up?
Oh, hey, Jake. You know, the anti-library. You know, so it's like, so yeah, so I'm just kind of, you know, so like, so Jose says that it's like, because it's like the thing, you see, because here's the thing, because you know, I really do love the idea of merch. I do really, you know, I really do.
I do too now. I really do. I used to be
but,
so anti.
You know, but the thing is, though, is that I have a hard time justifying merch in terms of my catalog.
Right.
You see, that's the thing, right? It's like maybe I am thinking a little too much like an artiste. You know,
you absolutely are, because let me show you the comparison
the main thing
of indie artists versus mainstream. Mainstream will slap an Elmo sticker on a pile of shit, and a parent's gonna buy it, and the kid's gonna love it.
Right. But the thing is, though,
all that the rationality of what it needs to be is something with your brand on it. That's it. That's it.
Or as we
shot glass, baby wipes don't matter.
Right. You know, the thing, you see, because the thing is that it's kind of like, on one hand, yeah, it's like, yeah, I want people to know my characters by knowing my story. However, if there's kind of like a Hello Kitty element you can exploit,
do it.
You know, you know, is that, you know, it's like, is that, you know, that's, I mean, because we were, you know, because like, you know, we've said that Jose could put out like an Oswald plush, and that shit would fly off the table.
Because it's a cute little mouse.
It's a cute little mouse with a bow tie, with his little glasses. You know, it's like, it has kind of like that Hello Kitty thing going.
Right.
Where it's like, yes, it's a specific character, while simultaneously it's generic enough.
Right.
That you don't have to know anything about the book to say, I want that.
Right.
You know,
well, you look at Carissa Grant with Worthy Chaos Redemption. She has found a niche with the cryptids.
Right.
Everybody fucking loves cryptids. So she's got a fucking Mothman. She's got all the fucking little cryptids available in plush and pins and whatnot. And people are eating that shit up.
Right. You know, speaking, hold on. Let me grab this guy. I guess case in point. Case in point. So I'm going to show you my little Labubu guy here.
Oh yeah, who'd you kill for him?
Guy, right? Jose, yes, Jose spent real money on this shit for me to make one shitty joke on Facebook. But I love him. I love him. I love Jose and my Labubu. So here's the funny thing, right? I didn't know anything about this fucking thing until I started seeing it all over the internet. And I'm like going, what the fuck is this?
What is that?
Right.
That's
and then it's like
that's gonna possess your home.
Ended up getting there's all sold out on Pop Mart. We actually found this at a store that's near us. Yes, this is genuine. And then I looked up the information about this thing, right? Not only has this thing been around since 2015, it started off as a children's book.
Mm-hmm. And
this is a character. Yeah, this is a character from a children's book done by, I think he's from Hong Kong. Well, I know the owner of Pop Mart is from Hong Kong. I think the guy who actually drew the book was from China, and it's like his little take on Norse monsters, right? Although honestly, the selling point for me for this is that it looks like a wild thing. It looks
that's
like a little,
exactly what I thought when I started seeing it.
From Hong Kong. Okay, thank you, Jake. So, it reminds me of a wild thing. So it's like, so it's like that whole Maurice Sendak thing, kind of like, okay, now maybe I want one of these, right? So I got the one that I wanted. I'm very happy with him, right? But here's the thing. He started off as a children's book in 2015.
Right.
You think the guy who designed what ended up being an international phenomenon because one K-pop lady was showing off her collection of these things. Do you think he's mad that people are buying these instead of
no. He's quilting money blankets.
You think he's mad about that?
Fuck no.
He started off with children's books, but you think he's mad that I have this instead of his children's book? Which, by the way, Labubu is the name of one of the monsters, not the line. It's actually just called the monsters. That's what they're just called. Labubu is one of the characters in the children's book. So that's kind of what Jose was talking about, right? Like, does it matter? In the end, are we being too precious with our books? It's like, the plushies are a better profit margin than books too. I'm sure. Yeah. You know what? That kind of is a little surprising. The thing with Labubu is that it's perfectly popping off now thanks to the gotcha mechanics behind the sale. Right, because these are blind boxes.
Right.
These are blind boxes, so you don't know. So it kind of like takes advantage of that gambling lizard brain part.
Right.
And it's like, because it's like I although I would like to get my hands on a Smitsky though. That's another one that's kind of like had its moment. And so it might be easier for me to find a real Smitsky. I don't know. There's like these little green blobby things. I just like it because they look like a little green blob. I don't know. It's like kind of like really random. So if our audience is looking at our book, not everything I saw at my tables and on Kickstarter are better profit margins than the books. You see, that's weird. Is it because like POD is so expensive? Like even the books you make in China, really, the profit margin is like you make more money off of selling a little plushie than selling a book. That's weird. Something to think about. Like your profit margin on your plushies is bigger than on your books. Really? Because I would have thought the upfront, I print offset, right? So So is that still the case with you? Like, really, your plushies? You know, okay, all right, okay, yeah. I guess if you factor,
Factor
okay,
in everything, yeah.
right. The
Like
fact
the
that,
entire
yeah,
creation from beginning, marketing, you need to figure in
right. The
everything you do
artwork,
for your
yeah,
comic, the
okay, that would
artwork,
make
your
more
market, your
sense.
team, your editors, everything.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Um, Curse with a dominance in iconography. Well, yeah, that's why I guess we're so obsessed with IPs, even though technically
Right.
we've never heard of La Boo Boo until now. I mean, it's which I think is also like the thing with Pop Mart is that like he started off with just working with individual artists and like just the designs. Like, I mean, they have IP stuff now, like they do crossovers with Disney and things, but um like nobody knew what this was.
No.
It's like, oh, I would buy it, but I don't know what it is, right? But it's like that's not stopping anybody. What's I mean, with this, there's yeah, although I hear that this is actually that like the trend for this is really insane in Asia. That it's really like you think the American stuff, you think this is big here. It's like it's crazy in Asia for this stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of like what Jose was thinking. Gambling, collecting, and reselling. Oh my god, that's exactly what
Nailed
that
it.
is. Nailed it. That it's like, yeah, that it's and mind you, not for nothing, like blind boxes and blind bags are like really, really popular in artist alleys. Like there are people who buy gotcha machines and do their own little gotcha things. I mean, I can get a gotcha machine for like $170, I think. I think like they're not that expensive.
Right.
But yeah, no. Yeah, it's like my trades are actually about the same profit margin as the plushies, but I was more referring to floppies. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Because you figure that by the time you get to the trade, everything else is kind of like paid off by
It's already
then.
paid for itself, yeah.
So that was the thing that I was thinking about. Like, so yeah, so it's like Jose was like going, are we too precious with our books? Should I really, be holding people to a standard that, that the audience is not holding you to that standard? Why should I hold you to that standard? Right? Like, our floppies are a dying mode of sale. As long as they're collectible, they're not.
So issue 1 is not.
No, I think that like honestly, it's like I've had several people on my campaign buy all the floppies.
Are you serious? Because I have so cut back on that now. It's like I'm only
Right.
backing a
And
Kickstarter if it's a
I think
trade
it's
I
like
want.
as long as people still feel the need to collect, they have to have the entire set. It's not just
Yeah.
having issue 1, they need the entire set. I think as long as there are people who still kind of like have that collector mentality, floppies will still exist. Especially since as it is right now, I need my floppies, like my individual floppies technically make more money than one trade paperback.
This is true.
So yeah, although trade paperbacks have a longer shelf life.
But as a consumer, I need a floppy like I need crabs or lice.
Right.
Like,
Well,
they're taking over my fucking house.
Well, right. But I think that, I think that like we don't have too much of that collector's mentality. So it's like in the end, it's like we're judging something based on our projection rather than what's actually happening.
Right.
Like I just need one of these. That I'm good. I have the one that I want. I'm good.
Right.
But there are people who need like friggin' all of them. And it's kind of like I had read that casinos, right, that they actually make most of their money off of 10% of the people who actually go there. Like everybody else is able to have a normal time at a casino, but it's that 10%.
Yeah.
that they make their profit on, that they actually make a casino. So it's kind of like the same thing with this. They are not, Pop Mart is not, or whatever secondary seller this came from, they're not going to make their money on me just buying one. They're going to make their money on the person who needs to have all 6 of them.
Right.
Right. And we'll pay to buy the multiple boxes to get the entire set. Right. I think floppies are kind of the same way. I don't think they're as big as a part of comic books as they used to be, but there's still enough of them that making floppies for us on the small scale that we do is actually worth it.
Right.
As opposed to just putting out trades, just going straight to trades. So that's kind of like what I've been thinking, that it's like, should I, like, if the audience is looking at your table and they just see your comics as one part of your entire table, as opposed to being the main part, are we doing ourselves a disservice by just making the comics the main focus of whether we're on Kickstarter or
well,
on
if you didn't have that merch, would they have been attracted to your table in the first place?
That's a good question, right? Because it's like,
because you're surrounded by books. What do you have that stands out?
Right. That, because that's also a part of it too, that it's like, although ironically, right, especially the way artist alleys are now, the fact that you have a book, I think, makes you stand out. Like, who else in an artist alley has books aside from prints, right? Usually now you go to an artist alley and it's like 99% prints and keychains, right? And like tchotchkes, but like actual books at a convention, yeah, I don't know. It's like, but then again, it also goes back to, you create the audience you deserve, right? It's like, maybe I don't want to be the least expensive option in an artist alley, but do I want to be the person? Do I want to be the person that only makes money at a convention because I'm selling shot glasses?
Right.
It's like,
I think there's a balance, but I also think that just do you, man. Do you how you're going to do you. Let everybody around you do themselves.
Right, but like I said, it's like, if you
go fuck yourselves in the nicest way possible.
Right. Hold my calls. If you can Hello Kitty-fy
right
something about your book, that you can make a generic looking piece of merchandise that people will buy just for the sake of it. I mean, it's kind of like Rob's plushies. Right? You don't need to know anything about his book to buy his
plushies, right?
Right. You don't have to know anything. If you just like, oh, it's a little wolf plushie in a jacket, gimme.
Right.
There you go. It's like, does it matter? Like, in the end, it's like, does it matter that they just left with the plushie? I don't want, but at the same time, though, I don't want to dismiss the whole thing by going, well, money's money. No.
I support this.
Oh boy. It's like, I don't want to dismiss it by saying money's money, right? Because folks will buy the plush without the books, right? Because you have that kind of like Hello Kitty thing where it's generic enough. No merch until I see others make it. I call it the non-advertising principles. So it's like, so I guess what you're getting at is that if someone has the book first and they make a plushie, that you're more likely to buy that plushie than if they just came out the gate with the plushie. Am I understanding that, Jake? So you know, like I said, I don't want to dismiss it by saying, well, money's money. I got their money. That's all that matters, right? Because
Right.
I think in the end, as creatives, we want people to still care about our stuff.
Obviously, they care. They wouldn't have fucking bought it. They just care about your plushie in this instance, and
Well,
not
you see,
particularly your
is
book.
that
So they
me
leave
being
happy either
right?
way.
Right. So is that me just being an artiste by head
It
of my
is
head?
because the reality is money is money.
Because that the money's money.
I love you, Daphne. I love that you try to have morals in this world.
I try, but it's obvious that it's like it just turns into an Ouroboros, you know, and it's just, you know, it's just, I'm just eating my own tail here, you know. If someone makes a plushie off my stuff, right? But here's the thing, right? So say Jake made a plushie of his little skull guy with the big gloves.
Oh, he's fucking absolutely adorable,
right? I mean, I would buy that just on itself. I wouldn't even know if I didn't know Jake at all, and I saw this little plush skull guy with his big ass gloves, you know,
right?
And it's just like, oh,
well, that's cool.
You know what? I would buy that. I would buy that. You know, I wouldn't have to know anything about your book. I mean, but it would be nice if I knew about what the context of the character was. But it's like,
only because you're an artist and you care that deeply, but the majority do not. Money is money,
right?
No matter what they buy.
So it's like we look at the audience, right? So it's like we're not thinking. So do you think that that's what's going on? That we're not thinking about how the audience, you know, how the audience is actually looking at ourselves, like how we want the audience to see ourselves is much different than how the audience actually sees us.
Right. You can't hold yourself in this higher importance, like everything's gonna matter to them as much as it does you.
Right. Yeah.
But if you have something that attracts them, something they desire or want, I mean, and they want to pay for it, fuck yeah, go for it. Everybody walks away happy.
Right.
You make table and they go home with this stuffed animal.
Yeah, I guess, right? I mean, like I said, I'm very conflicted. I'm very conflicted.
No, you're just trying to be too good in this world.
Yeah, probably. or hoity. Maybe I'm trying to be too hoity.
Either or. You
know. But yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, like I said, that is kind of like something I need to rethink. You know, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's like it's all this time thinking, you know, like marketing is always talking about know your audience, right?
Right.
And I think like part of the problem is that I project too much of myself in the audience. Maybe that's what it is.
Well,
instead of like going, well, what is the audience actually doing? You know, and I don't know. It's like, well, but then again, that's why I'm making all the changes that I am for Baltimore Comic-Con.
Right.
That it's like, well, what if I had a more cohesive table? What if I did this? What if it really was my tablecloth, Nita? What if it really was? You know?
We will find out.
We'll find out.
Do the science.
Yeah. I mean, so the moral of the story is bags. Always have bags. Right. Have a good tablecloth. Right. And the audience doesn't care as much as you think they do. Because all you're doing, the audience doesn't care as much as the audience doesn't care as much as you think they do, because all you're doing is just projecting yourself onto the audience. And maybe we shouldn't be doing that. You know, that maybe it doesn't matter whether they buy a book from you or a print from you or a plushie from you. The important thing is that they're buying from you. Out of everybody at the convention,
they're putting their money on something you have.
They're giving you money. Right. They could be giving it to the people next to you, but they decided, no, your stuff Your stuff caught my attention, not theirs.
There you go.
That's for them to figure out. So it's just, oh man.
And their money spends out of your pocket the same.
Right. Yeah.
No matter what they gave it to you for.
Right. Man. I hate growth.
This sucks.
Oh well. So any final thoughts, Nita?
No, I'm good. I just all I could think about is the bathroom.
Right.
Gotta get back to work.
All those holes to fill up.
The holes are done. I'm just sanding now and trying to
right.
Put the finishing touches on it so I can go do the usual prep, rip out the old caulk, recaulk, and all that crap. So yeah.
Right. Aye. So I'd like to thank everybody who hung out with us today, kept us company today in the chat. Also, I'd like to thank all of the beautiful eyeball people who are keeping us in the background doing, while you're doing whatever you're doing. I hope you too had some growth during this episode. So, yeah. Oh, man, I'm conflicted, Nita. I'm conflicted.
Don't be.
Because it's all I could think of is oh, was I full of shit all this time? Oh, yeah.
You were, and I was too.
Yeah.
But it's done now. It's done.
We can kind of try to move past it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, anything on the schedule you want to
check
remind
out
everybody?
Anything that's in the show notes. We got some great books coming. We got some great books going. Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it. It's Friday.
Yeah.
I'm so ready to say fuck social media for a couple days.
That's true. Yeah, because it's
I need my break. I need my breather.
Jesus. And if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and my portfolio site and all of my nonsense, you can head on over to my main site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you are interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress updates. And remember that you can also find me here on YouTube for a giant archive of videos on how I make my artwork and my semi-weekly art live streams Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. If you missed my last art live stream this Wednesday, it is also in the playlist below wherever the playlists are now. So you can check that out if you missed the last. Like I said, we go more into a rambling version of this as I gathered my thoughts for the Friday show, but so if you want to watch that, that's in the playlist. But usually I hold this live stream every alternate Wednesday Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. 2 hours of me just working and talking to the chat, kind of like being at a convention, but you don't have to worry about blocking my table. So, also remember, you can read Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, for free, uploading every day, Monday through Friday. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILSonline.com. And not only can you read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free, but you can catch up on the latest story arc, Tears of the Mother, which is also currently uploading Monday through Friday. If you want an easier way to read Tall Tales and Ego Raven, you can head on over to Webtoon. Both my comics are uploading there. Ego Raven updates every Tuesday, and Tall Tales updates every Thursday. So that's it for us. Thank you so much. And in the words of the ancients and the Labubu, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, and a friendly reminder to anybody celebrating No King's Day tomorrow. Remember, be safe, be smart, and remember the rest of the world is watching.
Yeah.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And Fuck you, I'm out.